In this video, you'll learn how to reconcile the apparent contradiction between Daniel 1:1 and Jeremiah 46:2. Reminder to hit the subscribe button below, and don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment at the end of the video. So, an old objection, but sometimes still used, is that there is a claim that Daniel 1:1 and Jeremiah 46:2 contradict one another. If it does, it doesn't just invalidate the book of Daniel, but also the idea of biblical inerrancy. So let's see what the critics are actually talking about here. Daniel 1:1 says, "In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and besieged it." So we are talking about the first siege of Jerusalem here. And then in Jeremiah 46:2, it says, "Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, smote in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah." So you can see that it clearly says that Daniel said it happened in the 3rd year, but Jeremiah says that it happened in the 4th year. Thus, these two do not match one another and obviously then contradict one another. And just to be firm on this, Jeremiah states also earlier in 25:1 that the 4th year of Jehoiakim was Nebuchadnezzar's first year as the king. So, laying this out on a timeline, you see that Jehoiakim's 4th year was Nebuchadnezzar's first year, and that Daniel and Jeremiah don't agree on the year that the first siege took place. So the mob then yells, "Contradiction! Contradiction!" Then they all dance the night away, feeling that they easily proved Daniel and the whole Bible to be in error in the simplest of demonstrations. So how do we overcome such a blatant contradiction? Simple. We count. We count according to how each author would have counted the reigns of the kings then. What I'm talking about here are two different methods of counting. The first is called the Accession Method, and the other one is called the Non-Accession Method. Simply put, these two methods start at different points. Accession starts counting from 0, while non-accession starts from 1. An example of modern accession counting would be teacher's payroll. Any teacher knows that their first year of teaching is classified as step 0 in the pay scale. Then in year 2, that they are classified in step 1, and this continues on with their career year after year. Another example of this is how old we say we are. We typically say babies are so many months old and up until their first birthday, maybe their second, but then after that we simply go year by year. For non-accession, an example of this would be how we count the years in office that the president is serving in. When the president is inaugurated on January 20th, we call this his first year of office. So, if we take Jehoiakim's timeline, you see that non-accession first year starts in 608, while accession would say that his first year was in 607. And guess what? Judah used the non-accession method, while the Babylonians used the accession method. So, Jeremiah 46:2 starts in 608, and Daniel 1:1 starts in 607. We know this because Daniel was educated as a Babylonian and wasn't a Babylonian official all his life up until the Persian conquest. So, we see that they both match up in 605 because their text reflects their context. Well, that's nice, Brett, but how do we know that you're not just forcing a square peg into a round hole just to make the Bible look correct? Well, fair enough. The proof comes from the Babylonian Chronicle collection found in the British Museum. Chronicle 5, also called the Jerusalem Chronicle, is a description of the second siege of Jerusalem from the Babylonian perspective. It reads, "In the 7th year of Nebuchadnezzar, on the 2nd day of the month of Adar, March 16th roughly, he conquered the city and took the king prisoner." While if you were to look up in 2 Kings 24:12, you would see that it says that this occurred in the 8th year of Nebuchadnezzar. So we have the 7th year on the Chronicle, while it says the 8th year in the Bible. The kicker here is that earlier in the Chronicle account, it refers to Nebuchadnezzar's accession year as the year he went and sieged the Syrian and Judea territories, referred to as the Hatti land by the Babylonians. So you can see that the accession and the 7th year are the same as the 8th year description as in the Bible. So on the Nebuchadnezzar's timeline, the second siege occurred in 598, with the Bible and the Chronicle both lined up on top of one another. Then, counting backwards, accordingly, they both arrive at 605 as Nebuchadnezzar's first year as king. So, when we see Jeremiah 46:2 and Daniel 1:1 played out, they both match up correctly at 605, and thus there is no contradiction involved with these two verses. Here's actually the spin on this situation. The fact that Daniel is using the Babylonian counting method indicates that the author was from Babylon, just like chapter 1 of Daniel says he was. And just remember that the Critic is saying that the book of Daniel is just a forgery after the Maccabean revolt, under Greek oppression, remind you, and influence. So if one is going to hold to the critical view, then they really have to assert the following. An anonymous Jew, or Jews, although 400 years removed from the Babylonian captivity and under 170 years of Greek occupation, somehow knew to use the Babylonian Accession method instead of the traditional Jewish non-Accession method that they had always used. Now really think about that for a moment. If these anonymous Jews were kind of pulling this whole thing together, why didn't they just go copy Jeremiah 46:2? Why did they make an apparent contradiction in the text? Do you really think that somehow living in Judah knew that over 1,000 miles away and 400 years before that we need to make this little tweak in there just so that we make it look like it actually was written by a guy named Daniel? Does that kind of sound conspiratorial to you? It does to me. And so when we go through these, you'll see collectively that the critical claim does not hold up reasonably, let alone historically, when you bring them all into full light. Reminder to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, hit the like button, and leave a comment. And don't forget to visit our website at justscripture.org. In the meantime, stay salty.